So I remember this one time where my friend and I were chilling in the city, and it was really easy to speak to this guy. He was one of my really good friends. But we were there and we were really bored. We'd been out since like 12. It's like 5 p.m. now or something. We're really like getting the end of the day. But we go on our Snap Maps, and on his phone, there's these two girls from his school. One of them who he has a really big crush on, and her friend. And so we gather the courage and we call them. And I remember when we asked them, we were like, "Oh, are you in the city right now?" And they said, "Yeah." We were like silently trying to hype up. We were like, "Yeah," like we were getting a bit excited and everything. And about 1 hour later, we met up with them and we went to like this rooftop and we're sitting around. But by that time, even when we get up to the rooftop, both of us are just mute, bro. We ain't saying nothing. We're nervous, especially my friend. I can't even understand how nervous he would be walking with his crush. She was very pretty as well. And that's the thing, man. When you're scared about what people will think about you because they're pretty or because they're intimidating or because they're strong or because they know this guy, for whatever reason, it's just so hard to speak. But it's not because you don't know what to say. It's because there's almost something blocking you. It's almost like someone has a remote pressed mute on you, and now you can't open your mouth. Now you basically can't speak. So we were sitting up on this rooftop, and we were kind of just chilling out, and that's basically the end of the story. We said bye, nothing happened. I started speaking to this girl a little bit more, but not much, because she was very social. But then, let's fast forward about like 5 months. And then we can fast forward again after if it still makes sense. But 5 months later, I remember I invited her to come to this party with like a group of friends and I. This girl that was the really friendly one, not the one that my friend had a crush on. And when she came, she was actually good chats to speak to, you know? She was fun, she was funny. And after a few times of hanging out with her or like throughout the night, basically the longer I'd been hanging around her, the more comfortable I got and the more I spoke. Now, at this time, I was like super young and I had no idea what that meant. I had no idea if I was being more social. I didn't even care, bro. I was in my own world, really. Like properly in my own world. I didn't even see things. It's so hard to explain. It's like someone put a mask over my world and I was kind of just like driving on autopilot and kind of like getting through. But anyways, all of a sudden it became easy to talk to this girl. This story I've told you because what I wanted to explain is that there's not things that you don't know what to say. It's not like you don't know what to do. It's more that there's something in the way. There's something blocking you. And in this video, I'm going to speak about the things that are blocking you from getting in this state where it's so easy to talk and have a great time. There's 3 obstacles. I'm going to speak about them. By the way, course, link in the description. I want to speak about anxiety a bit because there was this one time where I saw this guy in the gym and he was just super scary. And when I went to speak to him, I still like was very social. But by the way, at this time, I would strike up combos with guys in the gym regularly. But for some reason, this guy's 100 kilos. He's repping out like 120 kilos on squats. So I was like genuinely really intimidated. And I kind of like looked up to those guys who were strong in the gym at the time. So that made it even harder. But he had a very blank facial structure, like face. He didn't like smile. This was his face, just monotone. And so when I saw him, I got really scared and I hardly, like when I tried to speak to him, hardly any words flowed. But a year later, so basically the night before this, a year later, one night before this morning, so the night before the morning, I was out with my friends, with one of my guys, and we're all like drinking, we're having a great time. And I don't know if this happens to you as well, but it happens to me where when I go out drinking, the next day I don't give a shit what anyone thinks about me, bro. Even though I'm like sober, right? I just don't care, bro. I'm in like that mood where I'm tired. I don't care what you think. I still have energy, but I just don't care about small things. And I remember being with my friend the next morning in the gym, and it's hard to explain, but in this mood, I kind of invited him in our conversation. Like I was speaking to my friend about something, and then I said to this scary dude who I hadn't seen in a year, by the way, but he just happened to be in the gym. And I said, "Oh, bro, what do you think about what we're speaking about? And we just invited him into the conversation, really. And then right after that, like I actually thought this guy was a bit of a legend. So I was like, yo, you want to just go get lunch? And he had nothing to do. So we went and got lunch. I had a great chat with this guy's a legend, right? I went to see this guy last holiday. He's one of my really good mates now. But it like really kind of blew my mind that, and like I don't want to, boost his ego too much. But like he was a scary guy to me, especially at first when he was like bulked up before he went on a long cut. And at first, it was so hard to speak to him because I had this anxiety. But what I realized is that if you can find a way to lower your anxiety, then when you want to speak to somebody, it's so much easier. And there's a few things you can do to lower your anxiety. The first thing is just deep breath. I've been doing this throughout the entire video, really. Probably should be doing it more and I would be a little bit better spoken, but it's been helping me quite a lot so far. I use it, especially when things are going awkward in a convo. It just helps so much. It's like a little reset. And you should honestly, here, let me give you a different story. I didn't even plan this. One time I was talking to my friend's mom. This guy I looked up to so much, right? Absolute G. But his mom, I just wanted to set a good impression with her. And so I had like a decent bit of pressure put on myself. And I think she's like a principal of a school. So I'm like trying not to say anything stupid a little bit, but I'm getting in my own thoughts a bit too much. So I take a big deep breath. I remember she was speaking, but I just zoned it all out. There was words, but I just ignored it, took a deep breath in, because at that point I had nothing to say. The convo went silent for like 3 to 5 seconds, but instead of looking around like crazy and like, when you're speaking to someone, they start tweaking out like crazy, bro. That makes you think they're really awkward, right? Well, instead of going like that and looking around, I just looked her in the eye, take a deep breath, and all of a sudden, I just paused and I stopped that thought of like constant barrage going in. It honestly might have been 10 seconds, which felt like forever at that time. But the thing is, I don't think she minded. First of all, I don't think she minded. And second of all, after that 10 seconds, the words just came all of a sudden. Because this was one of the first times that I was like, shit, it doesn't even really matter if the conversation goes silent. Not one of the first times, sorry, but right after I learned that like this mindset that I teach that silence doesn't matter. I've been practicing this, I'd been teaching this, and then I got the perfect opportunity to use it again in my life. And it worked beautifully. Now, the other thing is you can just go around speaking to loads of people and overall that just gets your anxiety down. But I don't think I need to expand on that too much. Now, there's this other thing, like this story is perfect for when you've been struggling socially with like anxiety and all this. And I learned this when basically I hadn't gone out for 6 months. I had just been working in my own bubble, not speaking to anybody. This was like a really low point, but like especially socially. But I like pushed through it a bit. And I remember this one holiday, every single day I would plan something with a friend. And in fact, like there was like 4 days, 5 days where nobody could hang out. Nothing was going on. So I remember specifically, I invited my mom to go to the beach with me. And then the next night I said, okay, family night, let's play Monopoly. And so this was like a really good opportunity for me to just, because a lot of the time we just go, we play video games, we watch YouTube, but we don't go and speak to all our friends and family. Most likely you have at least one person in your family who you don't think they would have any judgments of you wanting to hang out with them. There's also a lot of people who you would be surprised if you asked them to hang out, they'd probably be down. But that's a different topic. What I'm saying is there's somebody you can hang out with. If there isn't, bro, that's a tough situation. Click the link in the description if you want. That would need extra help, and that's what the course has. But the point that I'm making here is I plan more and more things as much as I possibly could. And this social anxiety didn't go away, but I did start to get a couple invites to a few events. I think I went out with this girl on the first week, this girl that I was like friends with ages ago. It was like all starting to come together, but throughout the whole time I was super nervous. And even on this day, we could say it, when I was hanging out with this girl, that was the worst part about it, bro. I was like really, really anxious about what I was gonna say, all that. And so 2 weeks go by, and this one night I'm out, it's like 11. And this, I was literally 1 hour before complaining to my friend about, oh, bro, it's so hard to speak. Like, I'm not getting any motion, blah, blah, blah. There was this girl that I kind of knew because she went to my old school, I'm pretty sure. Okay, yeah, I know. But I went up to her, and even though it was really awkward, I just started speaking to her, and it feels like how it feels right now. I've come to a little bit of a nervous point in my YouTube video. I've been recording for 11 minutes. Words just started to feel really hard. Distractions in my mind, looking at these things. The nervousness built up so much. It was fucking horrible, bro. I wanted to leave as soon as possible. I didn't even think she liked me. But I kept talking, and I remember she asked me for a kiss. And I remember so clearly, I think almost I felt like my energy change. For the first time in these 2 weeks, it wasn't just because of the kiss, by the way. It was, not saying I kissed her, but it wasn't because of that. It was more so because over these 2 weeks, I've been talking to as many people as possible. And so like the progress was building up, the confidence in myself was building up, the skills and the comfort was building up. But it's almost like you don't see progress until you break through the barrier. It's like you're making progress, but you won't see any progress until you beat the barrier. You need to go above the barrier. And I think the barrier right there was crossed at that exact moment, because I almost, I swear to God, it felt like this. I almost changed humans. Like I was a new person, genuinely, from that moment. And so I remember so clearly, right after it, there was like this girl was trying so hard, hinting at me that she liked me. She was like, oh, do you want to go to this bar over there? And I was like, what the fuck is going on? Because I'd been struggling so badly for like 2 weeks. I mean, to be fair, I did go out with that girl like a week ago, but it was like a friend thing at that time. But the point is, as these 2 weeks progressed, things started to come up, but the whole time I felt nervous. Even though I was getting more and more social, I still felt the same level of nervousness. I didn't feel like I was really making progress until it all really happened at one moment. And then it was easy to speak to everybody. And then I went to my cousin's 18th a week later with like loads of new people. And I spoke to like a bunch of basically like 20, 21-year-olds. At the time, I think I may have been 16 or younger. And this was really fun to me because after all this time of struggling so badly, it's almost like it went away entirely. No problems all of a sudden. And the best part about this story, at that time, I didn't drink at all. And so when I finally got over my social anxiety, since I wasn't doing it when I was drinking, what ended up happening is that I got this permanent confidence even when I was sober, whereas a lot of people still think, oh, I'm drinking, that's what made me more social. And then they get like in their head and they don't believe in their own potential, and it's just harder without drinking for them. But when I did it this way, it worked super well for me. So what I'm saying is sorry, I'm getting distracted, bro. I got my nose right. You can get W's even while having anxiety, and it almost feels like you've made no progress for a long time until you've made all the progress that you could have ever imagined in the world. Let's move on. I want to go to my next point.